Teresa Schmidt was living in Avon, Indiana when in September 2002 she accompanied her husband to Lost Valley Guest Ranch in Sedalia, Colorado. She went hiking on September 6th alone and carrying a backpack with a light jacket and 2 bottles of water. At 3 p.m., she was seen on a trail leading to a rocky overlook east of the ranch, and she vanished. When Teresa failed to return at 7 p.m., her husband reported her missing. For 6 days, nearly 70 volunteers, searchers, tracker dogs, and helicopters searched the area, but were hampered by bad weather. Lost Valley Ranch is located in the Pike National Forest, where she was hiking a few miles away towards Cheeseman Reservoir. Although Teresa was an experienced hiker and had hiked the area before, the area had recently had a fire that changed physical features of the land, making it easier to get lost. The only signs that have been recovered were 2 sets of footprints, found at Cheeseman Overlook, 1 set on each side of the ridge, and both matching Teresa's shoes. She is only the 3rd missing person in 50 years that Alpine Search and Rescue have failed to locate. Her case still remains open. On August 9th, 2023, Jonas Bear and Cynthia Hovepian arrived at Chena Hot Springs Resort outside Fairbanks, Alaska, to celebrate Jonas's birthday. He was visiting his 50th state for his 50th birthday. The couple had planned to go hiking on a 3-hour loop trail around the resort on August 10th. They were reported missing on August 12th when they didn't check out of their Airbnb or return their rental car. The car was located at Chena Hot Springs Resort on August 12th. On August 9th, Jonas made some Facebook posts about arriving at Denali National Park and hoping that he doesn't get lost like he did 10 years prior in the Katoomba Range in Australia. Over the course of 8 days, searchers looked with helicopters, K9 units, ATVs, and unmanned aerial vehicles with no luck. Then on August 18th, 2 hikers ran into Jonas Bear on a trail 200 yards from the resort. He then led authorities 3 miles away to a camp where Cynthia was waiting to be rescued. While hiking the loop trail, presumably the chain loop, this took them into a burn area where they lost the trail. They ran out of their snacks by August 12th, but their main problem was lack of water. They began to hike over fallen trees and marshy tussocks that Cynthia compared to stepping onto giant billows. Now, it might be a good time to mention that Cynthia was also visually impaired up to the point of having to occasionally use a mobility cane. Over the next 8 days, they made camp at 4 locations while trying to find their way back. The couple said they came across a few bears, but did not have any encounters. On August 18th, Jonas left Cynthia at camp with enough firewood to last the day and set out to find help. Jonas headed north, as he and Cynthia had decided that was most likely where the resort was. Eventually, Jonas stumbled back onto a trail and ran into the hikers. The situation may have been resolved sooner had either Cynthia or Jonas carried a cell phone or any sort of communication device. Neither had serious or lasting injuries from the ordeal and intend to return to explore more of Alaska. On Friday, June 6, 2003, 44-year-old Timothy Lynch went to hike and take pictures in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and was never seen again. Timothy lived in Newburgh, Indiana, where he worked as a grocery store manager. When he did not show up to work on June 9th, he was reported missing by his estranged wife. On June 12th, she checked his answering machine using the code from before they were separated and found messages from the Royal Kona Resort about Tim not checking out and his unpaid bill. She gave the information to the police, who pieced together a timeline. Tim flew to Hawaii, rented a car, and checked into the hotel. They also found that he had not used his return plane ticket on June 6th. Police then checked his hotel and found he'd left with some personal items, including his plane ticket. On June 13th, his rental car was found at the end of Chain of Craters Road in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Park rangers conducted a search, and several rolls of film were found of him photographing the lava fields. The prevailing theory about Tim's disappearance is that Tim stepped into a spot that appeared to be solid rock but had a lava base beneath. Generally, in those cases, the body is usually eventually located in the ocean. However, Tim's has not been located until this day. On November 16th, 2008, 54-year-old Rose Backhouse checked out of the La Quinta Inn in Moab, Utah, to go hiking. It was originally a weekend trip with a friend that turned into a solo hike when the friend got sick and canceled. She was reported missing by her roommate in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, when she failed to return home. Police checked phone and banking records while alerting agencies in surrounding states. Her vehicle was found on November 24th after extensive searches in the Little Wild Horse Canyon parking lot near Goblin Valley State Park. Searchers used planes, helicopters, and dogs, as well as officers, friends, family, and volunteers to search the 3,600-acre park. Authorities said Rose made a call at 10:20 a.m. the day she went missing to check her voicemail. The records indicated Rose left the Moab area to the south. Crews searched for nearly a month and intermittently after, as weather permitted. Unfortunately, no trace of Rose had been found. Then, on April 24, 2009, 3 people were hiking in the Upper Chute Canyon in eastern Utah and located a body. Authorities were called, and they identified the body as Rose Backhouse. Rose was found near a 50-foot drop-off, where she couldn't continue down nor get back up where she came. Medical examiners examined the body and determined she died of exposure and did not have any broken bones or debilitating injuries. She is estimated to have survived possibly up to 48 hours in the canyon. On July 5th, 1988, Timothy Barnes was planning to hike from the Murphy Creek Trailhead to Polydomes Lake in Yosemite National Park. He left Tenaya Lakes at 9 a.m., which is roughly 3 miles away. He was supposed to return by 4:30 p.m., but was never seen again. His friends reported Timothy missing the following morning. Timothy was 24 years old when he disappeared and was wearing a t-shirt, gray sweatpants, tennis shoes, and had a yellow day pack. An extensive search was performed, but no signs or traces were ever found. On July 19, 1990, Timothy Barnes was officially declared dead, closing the case. If anything is ever recovered, it would likely be an orthopedic pin he had in his left ankle. On August 20th, 2015, 62-year-old Miyuki Harwood went hiking with a group in California's Sierra Nevadas. On day 6 of an 8-day hiking trip up Black Cat Mountain, night started to descend and Miyuki decided to split from the group and return to base camp for the night. While hiking back, she slipped in the darkness and fell off a cliff, landing on both her legs. As a result, she broke her left leg, right ankle, and had a compression in her back. Once realizing she was unable to stand, she knew her next biggest issue would be water. The 1-liter bottle she carried with her on the hike had started to run low. While on the cliff, she heard a stream located below her. Over the next 2 days, she crawled to the stream. Once arriving, she refilled the water bottle that also had a filter on it, so she at least had clean drinking water to last her. At night, she slept on the ground in a medium-weight jacket. During the day, she would lie in the sun. While there, she would see helicopters every day, but had no means to signal for help. Several law enforcement agencies, along with volunteer searchers, combed the area, but were hampered by thick smoke from a nearby wildfire. On August 29th, 9 days after disappearing, Miyuki heard a rescue team nearby. She used a whistle that she had brought with her to signal them. The rescue team arrived, and the doctor on the team stabilized her broken leg. She was carried on a stretcher to an open area where a helicopter took her to the nearby hospital. On July 12, 2010, 57-year-old Robert Bissell hiked into the wilderness area of Mount Hood National Forest and disappeared. Robert's brother went to check on him on July 19th and found his campsite, but decided to leave and returned on July 24th to see if Robert returned. When there was still no sign of Robert, his brother reported him missing. The search launched on Sunday, July 25th, and lasted for 8 days. They focused on the Roaring River Wilderness, Rock Lakes Basin, Serene Lake, Shining Lake, and Shell Rock Lake. The search included hundreds of volunteers, 60 to 70 professional searchers, 2 planes, a helicopter, search dogs, mounted horse patrol, man trackers, and ATVs. Bissell's car was located at the Shell Rock Lake trailhead. He then hiked 5 miles to set up a camp near a trail at Middle Rock Lake. The only missing items from his camp were his fishing rod and tackle. Despite the extensive search efforts, no trace of Robert was ever found. On August 4th, 2024, a chocolate lab was spotted along the edge of the Chilliwack River Trail in Washington's North Cascades National Park. The dog, Freddy, was found about 8 miles from the Hannigan Pass trailhead, where 39-year-old Robert Schock had parked on July 31st. Equipped with some light hiking gear, Robert had planned to hike one of his favorite places in the world, which was the North Cascade Range. Having hiked and camped the area before, Robert was confident going into the hike. Around 7 miles down the trail, he used a cable car suspended over the river to cross, only to be disoriented when reaching the other bank. The area had experienced fires in 2021 and 2022 that closed part of the trail and reshaped the land with washouts and downed trees. Robert saw a sign for the Canadian border about 20 miles away, but assumed it was wrong as it appeared to point south. With no service or signal, he decided Canada would be his safest goal. During his trek, he stopped for some water at a river that soaked his shoes, and then when he removed them, the river washed his shoes away. At this point, he was hungry, had a puncture wound on his toe, and was still lost. He ate a few berries he found and a large mushroom. He did not know if these were poisonous. Robert then turned south to try to retrace his steps. While wandering in the forest, he saw a helicopter and heard a chainsaw, but saw nobody. On August 5th, park rangers and the sheriff's office started ground searches. On August 16th, Border Patrol flew over Chilliwack Basin, but found nothing. Robert had collapsed on the riverbank, 11 miles from the trailhead. Unfortunately, the area was out of sight for most passerbys. Robert did not move for 2 weeks, warming himself in the sun, drinking from the river. By the time he was found, he had lost control of his bowels and shed his clothing, likely due to hypothermia setting in. On August 30th, Pacific Northwest Trail Association were returning from a day of re-establishing trails when they heard Robert's call. They gave him small bites of tortilla smothered in peanut butter and jelly and warmed him with their jackets. A helicopter was sent to retrieve Robert, who was 50 pounds underweight and in shock. Robert went on to make a full recovery. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. We will see you next time.